I have one final message for Geek House Show.
Hello, Geek House Show. This is Hassan Muhammad. I am here with the Batman himself, Mr. Kevin Conroy. Kevin, welcome to the Geek House Show. It's a huge honor to have you here with us.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here.
Thank you very much. Back in 2017, one of the Geek House Show member, Yusuf Al-Baid, has met you in Chicago Comic Wizard Con. And, you are the first celebrity ever to give a shout out to Geek House Show and the fans in the Middle East. So
really?
So thank you very much for recognizing your fans in the Middle East. And how does it feel to have such a massive following in this part of the world?
It's amazing because when I went on Twitter, I didn't realize how big my following was in other parts of the world, because you would assume, since you're doing the voiceover of an animated character, that it would be dubbed into other people's languages in other parts of the world, and they would use other actors for that. But they actually do use my voice in the English language version in most parts of the world. So I have a lot of fans in India and Pakistan and the Arab world, and it's amazing to me. I get all these tweets in Farsi, and I don't read Farsi. And in Arabic and stuff. So it's like, it's wonderful. It's this bat community, this bat universe that is so global, and there's such a sense of humankind in it. And I love that about it. It's this universality of the character, the struggle of the individual, the triumph of the will that Batman is. That is a universal theme that I love that about it, that it speaks to so many people around the world.
Exactly. Actually, the Arabic voice actor his name was I think Marwan Farahat. He was the guy who's voicing Batman in the Arabic version, but they were also doing the English version as well. And then when the Justice League animated series was released here in English, and of course Batman, Mask of the Phantasm, it was released theatrically here, and the Arkham Games. So all of these things contributed to the Arab community and to the fans of the Middle East to know more about Kevin Conroy. And to many, believe me, Kevin, to many, you are their Batman, and I'm one of them.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I've been doing it for 29 years. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's why you are our Batman. Yeah.
Crazy.
And hopefully you'll do it more.
I hope so. Thank you.
As I said before, you are our Batman, and I have some questions about Batman himself.
Sure.
So in your opinion, what does Batman embody? Do you regard the Bat as the embodiment of justice, or just another self-conflicting man with his own twisted ideas with what justice should be?
No, I think the whole beauty of the character and the reason he resonates with people all around the world is because of all the superheroes, he's the only one who has no superpowers. He is not a superhero. He can't fly. He can't see through walls. He's a human being. He's a man who was so crushed by life as a child, watching his parents murdered in front of him.
Yeah.
But instead of letting that destroy his life, as it could have, he chose to reinvent himself as this angel of light, as this avenging force for good. So I see him as a very positive, life-affirming image of overcoming our own adversities, not letting life crush you. Because look, everyone has adversity in life. Life is hard for everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone has challenges. Everyone stumbles. Everyone makes mistakes. We all do, because we're human. And you're faced with a choice. You can let it crush you, or you can fight back, and you can continue fighting to triumph over it and not let yourself be victimized by it, because that's the only choice you have. Life is going to throw this crap at you whether you like it or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The choice you have is how you let it affect you. And he is such an embodiment of not letting it affect you in a negative way. He refuses to be destroyed. And I hear that from fans all over the world. I get a lot of, Twitter activity and messaging, and the stories I hear from people, the childhoods people have had, the difficulty. There was one young woman in Chicago who came up to me at that Chicago Con where I did the geek shout out, actually. And she was sort of 30-ish, looked sort of professional. And she said, I've always wanted to meet you. Can I hug you? I said, of course. Yeah. So as I was hugging her, she just broke down. And she said, you don't understand what you've done for me. And she meant Batman. She didn't mean me.
Yeah.
She said, what Batman did for me. She said, I grew up in the projects on the south side of Chicago. Every kid I grew up with is either dead or in jail or on drugs. She said, I have a career. I have a life. I'm a professional. I have a family. And it's because every afternoon I had Batman giving me lessons of how to live, giving me lessons of how not to let life crush me. You were my safe space every afternoon. And you got me through a horrible adolescence. And I said, well, God bless you. You're the one who got you out of that. But it's so wonderful for an actor to be a part of something that helps someone on that intimate level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's come to embody that for so many. I hear that similar story from so many people. Because we forget the difficulties that many children have. Many people have really horrible families or childhoods. And they need that sense of support and that sense of goodness, that sense of hope that they get sometimes from an animated character.
How do I shut it down? Let me go, or she dies. What are you talking about?
And when I was playing the Arkham games, it's just like, or watching the animated series, or watching something like, Justice League Doom, these moments in these movies, I also take something out of them. And one of the things that I really liked about the Batman character, or your portrayal of Batman character, is that you always have a plan B. I know this is like a Batman thing. This is how I always think of in life. I always think, expect the best, but be prepared for the worst.
Be prepared for the worst. Absolutely.
And that's the lesson that I learned from your portrayal of Batman. Seriously, in my whole life.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
If you protect him, Stromwell, I'll be very grumpy. You don't want to see me grumpy.
Now, one of the most interesting thing about Batman is the Rogue Gallery. I mean, do you think that they made him a more interesting character?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, yeah. I mean, in most, how do I start this? In every culture, all throughout history, in all mythology, in all legends, there is the story of this hero. And Joseph Campbell called him the hero with 1,000 faces, because he's been all through history, whether it's, North America, Africa, Asia, or the Orient, Europe. They've all had this similar hero who is a man who is burned by life, crushed by life, and resurrects himself and is recreated as a force of good. It's a symbol, universal throughout the world. There's Orestes, there's Achilles, there's all these different characters that are written about. Batman is our culture's embodiment of that legend, of that character. And like I said earlier, he doesn't have any superpowers. His superpower is his inner strength and his will, which is extraordinary. But so for an actor playing that, there is so much meat to bite into, because usually when you're playing a superhero like Superman or the Flash or these other superheroes, they're just sort of square-jawed, super strong people who can fly, or something like that. They're just they're very cardboard kind of characters.
Yeah.
They're great, but they're kind of cardboard. Batman is dark and broody and damaged. And that's what we love about him. And so for an actor, it gives you so much to bite into. So for me, there was so much to research emotionally, this world of his. But then to enrich it even more, the writers created this rogues gallery of characters that just like the Riddler and Joker and Catwoman and Mr. Freeze and Two-Face. I mean, they're incredible. They are so dark and twisted and imaginative, and they give Batman that much more to play off of.
Yeah.
But usually in a superhero show, they're the whole show. The villains are what it's all about. But in Batman, you have this complicated dark hero too, who's also kind of a twisted character. Batman's kind of the total reverse of Joker. I always say to Mark, we're the yin and yang of each other.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be me without Mark Hamill, and Mark Hamill wouldn't be him without me. We work so well together. But the characters are sort of the reflection of each other. And so you're right. The villains make Batman the show so interesting. But also you've got this dark, twisted hero who almost is one of them. You know what I mean? He's just as complicated as they are. That's what makes the Arkham series so wonderful, because the concept that Batman is trapped in Arkham Asylum and has to fight his way out. He's surrounded by all these people who are just as complicated as he is.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the Arkham games were really great. So you played this character, in animated movies, in the TV shows, in video games, but you played Bruce Wayne for the first time in Crisis. So was your performance based on Kingdom Come, or was it just based on the script? How was that experience for you?
It was based on the script that they sent me, and I think that was based on Kingdom Come. But it presented an interesting dilemma for the writers. If you're going to have Batman or Bruce Wayne as an older man, what happens to Bruce Wayne? Now we know in Batman Beyond how he's portrayed. What happens to a man who gives and gives and gives and gives and gives his entire life and never gets any love back? What happens to that man? What is the result? And we'd like to believe that there's no bottom to the well of Batman's goodness. But in Crisis, the writers created this image of a man who had become so bitter, so angry at fate and at life that he never had any love in his life, that he finally lashes out. So for an actor, it was wonderful to play, because you always want different colors to play. So I was so happy they asked me to do it. But a lot of the audience was angry. That wasn't the Bruce Wayne they knew.
Yeah.
That wasn't the future they had in mind.
Honestly, I was just happy. Wayne. I was just happy to see Kevin Conroy finally play, Batman. I was one of the.
I got a lot of opinions from both ways, because it was a very dark take on where Batman goes, where Bruce Wayne goes.
See for yourself. I can barely walk, let alone wear that again.
My final question, also regarding the live action. We've all seen the Batman trailer with Robert Pattinson. I assume you've seen it as well. What was your reaction when Robert Pattinson uttered the words, "I'm vengeance"?
I don't own those lines. You know what I mean? I have to put my ego aside, and I have to accept the fact that there are a lot of actors who are just as good at playing Batman as I am, you know.
Yeah.
I think it was kind of brilliant of Warner Brothers to not give the role to one person.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was crazy at first, because usually they give a role to one actor and that actor becomes the face of the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
So when Michael Keaton started it, I thought, well, he's going to be Batman. Well, then came, you know, George Clooney and Val Kilmer and all these different actors, Ben Affleck, who all did it slightly differently. They all had a different strength in playing the role. And they're wonderful. It's like, to me, Mark Hamill is the Joker. He is the Joker. He's the embodiment of the Joker. He's brilliant. And then I saw Heath Ledger and I thought, oh my God, this is a whole other kind of crazy. It's not better than Mark, but it's brilliant. It's another kind of crazy. So it's, you know, different actors bring different things. So I love that Robert Pattinson's doing that.
I'm vengeance.
Yeah, I think
But it's not me. But it's not me.
You know, I think it might be also an homage for the animated series as well. You know, maybe I'm just assuming that. So
Yeah.
it was a fan moment, and when we saw that, I think all the Batman fans, when they saw that, they started to have flashback. If your famous line, "I'm vengeance, I'm the night, I'm Batman." At least that happened to me.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
Now, unfortunately, we don't have enough time. This was my final question. But before we end this interview, do you have any final message for your fans in the Middle East, especially, you know, Geek House Show and Speedy Comics fans?
I have one final message for Geek House Show and Speedy Final Fan. I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
Thank you very much, Kevin. It was, you know, this is one of the best interviews that I've ever done my whole life. Thank you for taking the time to do it.
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Conroy, you can see him live at Speedy Comics Con, November 13 and 14. See you there, Kevin.
I look forward to seeing everybody there.
Yeah.
Take care.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Hassan. Bye-bye.